What is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight we have a packed show and a ton of stuff to go over the weekend and links to back it all up. We'll be right back with the most insane show ever. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. If you've never been here before, this is a live show. We're going to go over everything that has just happened over the last 3 days. And again, everything here is backed up with the bibliography. So if we show you a picture, a tweet, a video, an archived document, we're all going to have our links over on marfooglenews.com. Now, when you go there, not only can you sign up for our alerts and for our own notifications if the platforms aren't giving them to you, you can also follow along. So you can grab a second device, watch the show, and then, of course, read the articles with us. Now, on this, just to remind you, it is all very easy to navigate. It is done by thumbnail. Now, I don't know why this one is so pixelated, but again, I look for Sincerely the USA message sent. Once you see that, click on it, and you'll find that we have every single article, tweet, video, everything is all there, including web-only content. Now, once you hit a yellow bar, you will see that all the stuff that is too hot for TV or too far to one direction for us to cover without obviously being biased, that will all be down here. Now, again, over on the right side is all of our affiliates. If you do want to support us, we are independent. Of course, we don't have a multi-channel network. We don't have a multi-billion-dollar company. So if you do want to do any kind of support, it's all over there. If you want to do a PayPal or an purchase of an EMP shield or My Patriot Supply, all of that is over there. Again, that helps. Again, that's actually partly everything is split between Dex and I. So again, that helps both of us and our families. So thank you, everybody that does do that. In most cases, you get a discount and you're helping the channel at the same time. All right, speaking of Dex, let's get Dex in here. What is going on, Dex? How are you doing, and what is happening?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So we'll get right into it. We're going to fly through a few of these. We have so much, we have so many stories today that it's going to be absolutely insane. Beautiful you, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Sean Michelle Hammy, thank you for pledging on Patreon. It is very appreciated. I saw that you just did that about 30 minutes ago. Nancy B. Wild, around the same time, did a pledge to Patreon as well. Same with Kishara Ninki last night. So thank you. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. Thank you, and thank you. And then, of course, the company says it's developing a system that can recognize your face from just your DNA. As scary as this sounds, I've heard about this for a couple years now. We covered it, I believe, in late 2018. And they were talking about being able to take a DNA sample and see what kind of heritage and, of course, like what the person's actual facial features look like. I believe we were covering, they were digging up people as far as like sarcophaguses of ancient people, and they were trying to remap what they might have looked like. But now it sounds like they're getting closer, but they're not there yet. It says, again, it's kind of a trippy little video here. Again, it says Coresight AI, a facial recognition subsidiary of the Israeli AI company Cortica, purports to be devising a solution for that sort of situation by using DNA to create the model of a face that can be run through facial recognition system. It is a task that experts in the field regard as scientifically untenable. It says Coresight unveiled its DNA to face product in a presentation by Chief Executive Officer Robert Watts and Executive Vice President Ofer Ronen, intended to court financiers at the Imperial Capital Investors Conference in New York City on December 15th. It was part of the company's overall product roadmap, which was also included movement and voice recognition. So one thing to think about here is that this would be a product, if they ever got it actually working. Think about this. Think about a crime scene. They take a DNA sample, or they find blood, or they find something that would contain DNA, and they would be able to actually have a visible description of that person, even if that person's DNA were not on file. Think about that, because it used to be, and I don't know if they somehow have our DNA other places. We don't know if they've secretly been grabbing it from other places, but these companies that you send in, mail in your DNA, who knows if the government has that now, or most of us know. But and then you think about that. If you never did any crime, that wouldn't be something you would have on file. You wouldn't have your fingerprints on file. But that wouldn't even matter in the future, because they might be able to grab your DNA sample and actually pull up your face. So it's a really crazy idea. People think that it's impossible. It says the tool constructs a physical profile by analyzing genetic material collected in a DNA sample. According to the company's slide deck viewed by surveillance research group IPVM and shared with MIT Technology. Now, mind you, remember, it's from a surveillance research group. They're trying to track down people even better. So pretty creepy. Dex, what do you think about this? Do you think that this is the future? Or?
Well, yeah. I mean, why can't they pull a fingerprint? If they can figure out a face, why can't they figure out a fingerprint? They're going to take this. There's no telling where this will go, especially as the algorithms improve and the learnings and the technology improves. But, this is interesting because it's not a database, right? It's not like there's a whole bunch of pictures of your face in a database. You could be nowhere on any platform ever, and they can still come up with your face. That's what's crazy about this.
That's what I'm saying. Law-abiding citizen, say, well, okay, here's a good example. Say you're at a 7-Eleven. I don't personally spit. I used to when I was young. I used to spit all the time, and just gross, right? And for some reason, I grew up and I was like, that's pretty disgusting. And especially with the CV, when that happened, a lot of people I noticed stopped spitting, right? Mostly because they're wearing their coverall, right? But think about this. You're at a 7-Eleven and say you spit on the sidewalk or something. It's gross, but people do it. And then think a murder happens there 10 minutes later after you leave. Well, they grab that spit DNA, and then they get your profile and pull you into the police department thinking that you are a suspect. That is the future. Among many things, of course, now they are compacting just amazing amounts of surveillance technology in small amounts of areas. I mean, like, you'll go to one corner and be on 8 cameras. That's already known. But as far as this goes to the next level. What do you think about this? Do you think this is going too far, or do you think that this is kind of an obvious kind of way to go? And imagine this combined with quantum computing. At that point, they would be able to just track and map all of us down to where we move and walk. And speaking of invasion of privacy, and as far as, we've covered everything from the NSA, of course, recording pretty much everything about us, the NSA program that Snowden came out with in 2012 that blew the world's mind, that was keeping track of everyone's everything, including our cell phones. They were able to access our cell phone cameras. And I say they are able to do all of that, I am sure. They say publicly, because it caused world outcry of basically there was a crime against humanity. that they said they deleted a lot of these. They deleted like 6 billion call records or something like that. And everybody just kind of, said, oh, okay, well, they accepted it. Well, I never really accepted that, and I think it's absolutely disgusting that they sell actual camera covers at Target. Like it's an accepted thing, like, oh, you can buy a camera cover. They shouldn't have to sell you a camera cover because no one should be looking through your camera. Now, mind you, they say that that's for people hacking you, but really a lot of people get it because they know that people are watching your cameras. People are watching. Why do you think they invented a phone that now has a fingerprint sensor? Mind you, these phone companies work with the government. A fingerprint sensor that encourages you to do multiple fingers for accuracy, that has a front-facing camera, that has iris scanning, that has facial recognition, and you voluntarily gave them all of that information, thinking, oh, it's just T-Mobile. Okay, that's why T-Mobile hasn't been in court 1,000 times this year, giving up information. Yeah. And even when Apple said that it wasn't giving information, Dex, didn't Apple say that they wouldn't give up the information, but then they ended up...
No, they didn't. And they'd secure that on a chip on the phone. So it is stored, but it's only on your phone. When I say that, I'm talking about your fingerprint and your facial scan.
Well, Apple doesn't have fingerprint, does it?
It used to, and some of the devices may still have it.
Okay, well, and what happened in that case? The government basically told them it doesn't matter, we can get it anyways.
Yeah, they ended up cracking it. They just took a long time. They were kind of mad that they didn't get it faster.
Yeah, so even if there is a company that's, being stand up about your privacy, the government can access it anyways. So if they want your fingerprint, your facial recognition, your iris scan, all of that, if you did that on your phone, they already have it. And most people don't think about that stuff, but why do you think we have been attached to these phones? These phones were designed from beginning to end to enslave us. That's my personal opinion. What's yours? Put it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. But the ATF is keeping 920 million plus firearm records, with almost all of them digitized. This is something we covered early on. Dex, we talked about this when it was an idea, didn't we?
Yeah,
not?
We talked about it when it was an idea. We had no idea that it was basically a billion records digital. All right. Now we understand when an FFL dealer, which is like a gun shop or pawn shop, goes out of business, they have to transfer all their paperwork to ATF. So all that paperwork physically goes, and it's usually stored all on paper. It's not digitized. None of this is digitized. So what they've been doing is scanning everything. And they're also using OCR, but they're claiming they can't search it. But for those of you who don't know, OCR is optical character recognition. When you scan something, it basically turns all the letters into real words and letters in a computer form. So that's not true, because if you OCR all that data, you can actually search it. Just because they didn't put a search engine on it doesn't mean in 2 seconds they couldn't. So this is kind of crazy, and people need to pay attention to what's going on. This is like 8 billion records now that has been digitized from the forms you fill out, which are called 4473s, which are the background form you have to fill out. That does go back for the background check, but then all of that has now been digitized, and the record numbers that they're adding to this is significantly huge. Every time they keep checking, the numbers are getting larger and larger. So
basically, there's whole departments sitting there scanning physical documents, and they are now, currently, as we speak, probably in a room, sweating their butts off, working overtime, scanning every owner of a weapon. If you own a poo-poo, then I would highly recommend you realize that they may someday come knocking. The people have done this big convoy. It's like, what I don't understand is, why hasn't stuff like that happened before for things that have been obvious kind of just steps too far? And I say steps too far. In other countries, that might not be a step too far. But in the U.S., we have a really, really clear constitution about this kind of thing. So I don't know why why didn't anybody stand up for this? And is anybody going to make a big deal out of this? A couple people that are on YouTube might, but other than that, you probably won't hear too much about this. That is pretty concerning, because the whole purpose of parts of that Constitution and the second is that you may have to face a tyrannical government, right? That's why they made it, because governments can go bad. And I'm not saying ours will, but it's happened before. In fact, it's happened not too long ago, and it's not a good thing. And that's why sometimes you might have to defend yourself against your own. Just remember the people that lived in Germany. They're basically their government turned on them. I mean, like the people that were following orders under those guys, they had to go to trial. At some point, some people may hear as well. Who knows? I'm sure that's what some people hope. But and then NK appears to test biggest missile in 5 years. Now, I want to make sure everybody kind of wraps their head around this. This is really starting to get under my skin because this happened. Look at the response to NK launching these missiles. It's been an article almost every other day, or every other 3 days they have launched something. Dex, do we know, is this the 8th or the 7th launch in the last 30 days? Do we know? I believe this is 8.
Yeah, it's like the most they've launched, and it's all been in the last month and a half or month. It's a lot. But it seems like every few days they're doing something. They're doing at least twice a week now, it seems like.
I believe this is the 8th. If not, it is at the very least. I know there's at least 7 launches of these ballistic missiles in 1 month, or if not 6 weeks. So doesn't matter if it's 6 weeks or a month. It was 7 to 8 launches, and these are all ballistic missiles. They're all landing by Japan. Look at how they are covering this compared to how they covered this when T-Man was in office. Now, T-Man was tough on this. He said, we will just wipe you off the face of the planet. He called him Rocket Man. He laughed in his face. T-Man was some people thought, his craziness worked because he was like, we'll just blow you out of the water. And some think that it may have actually scared Kim. Like, this guy's nuts. I'm not playing with this dude. But then again, look at who we have now. Look at the connections between NK, China, and Russia. NK, I feel like, would be a pawn in something like this. Like maybe they would be like, hey, little brother, can you go do this? Well, I'll get in trouble. Oh, don't worry, dude, we got you back. Can you do the first launch? Well, I guess I got to practice a little bit. We're not fully up to par, but I guess I can do a bunch of practice runs and get ready to. Okay, little brother, you go do that. Don't worry, we got your back. I feel like they're practicing for something. Now, everybody laughs off NK, but we know from actual documents that are not put on the front page that the U.S. government is actually very concerned about them. And they don't laugh it off because there is some weird stuff going on in NK. We still don't know what the situation with Kim is, if he got taken out or what. If he did or if he didn't, doesn't really matter because who knows? CIA could move in there and launch from there. We have seen these Fantastic Freddies over the years that just blow my mind. So remember, if something like that happened, it might serve a purpose.
Well, what's significant about this, Adam, real quick, is this missile reached an altitude of 1,240 miles. And let me put that in perspective. That's 5 times higher than the ISS space station. Okay, that's pretty high. And by the way, this is the same country that has put in and launched FOB systems, which just need to get up into orbit. They don't have to go that high. So that means this rocket had a lot of power behind it to reach that type of altitude. Now, of course, they went straight up and came straight down because they were going into the ocean. But you can just change that trajectory a little bit, and you can pretty much get almost anywhere in the world with that kind of length. So especially once you break up into, out of the atmosphere. So that's significant.
Just to remind,
5 times higher.
Just to remind people what FOBS is, fractional orbital bombardment system. It would go either around the planet or it would go up into orbit, and then it would drop down, and it would basically hit us with something. It could hit us with an EMP.
From the south.
From the south, it would go around, and we would be almost defenseless. Not to mention they already have 2 satellites, and by they I mean NK already have 2 satellites that do go over us.
Yeah, and that launch, that FOBS launch, looks like a space launch, not a missile launch. So it has a trajectory that would traditionally be a space launch, which then goes into orbit and then it comes around, and that's how it sneaks in. It's sort of a sneak attack.
Yeah, and if they're practicing things like this, or practicing to get the distance or the height or the altitude for it, then that's not a good thing. We know that the task force are heavily focused on this. We've seen the documents that have been coming up. Peter Pry has been talking about this. They just warned us not a week ago, during this whole month of all these launches, the 2 countries possibly going to take Ukraine in this, that we are at risk for losing our grid. The U.S. Just told us that, hey, by the way, there's a specific and credible threat to our power grid. Essentially telling us, like, hey, get ready, you might lose your power. One thing my thought on this is, and just this is hypothetical, so they tell us that, they say that it is from within. They tell us it's possible patriots, right? What would happen? All the lights go out. You realize, oh my gosh, my whole city's out. This is something bad. What is your first thought going to be? Well, if they put it out on the news and they get it all out that it's from within inside your country, you're going to think, oh, it's Billy Bob and Steve and Joe Bob. They're just trying to say F you to the government. This will be fixed. They'll take Billy Bob out and they'll get the power back on. People would panic a lot less if they thought that this was some like Midwestern group or some sort of domestic thing. As far as if they thought it was the big bad boogeyman, China and Russia, everyone would lose their head. People would lose their, to say the least. So if they get it into our heads before it happens that, hey, oh, this is going to be an internal thing, and, you know, by the way, we will have no communications. We might not have satellite, GPS, any of this. We won't have TV. We won't have anything. So we're going to be wondering what happens. We might all think, whatever city you're in, you'll think, oh, maybe it's just regional. Maybe it's just here. Really, I mean, it's going to be, do you know somebody with a ham radio and a generator, right? That's going to be able to communicate with somebody else in another city. For a while, they won't even know that it will be across the country. When this happens, if this happens, they will not know where else it's going to happen. They're not going to know. So my theory on it is that could that be potentially because they want us to think if it happens, they want us to think that it is from internal things and not be as panicked and worried about it. Most of the time when the power turns off, people go, oh, they're going to fix it. People will sit around for a while. If the power goes off and I know that it's citywide, that's when we go into go time. Like, that's why we practice. And I know I'm not as prepared as some of these other people. I know I can't do some things. Like, the thing is nobody has time to do what some of these professional preppers do. Like survival living, now it is his job. He can spend a ton of time doing it. If I didn't have kids and I still had this channel, I would still go to classes and things like that, and try to learn right now. And I suggest it. If you have time is the most valuable thing right now. Go try to learn a skill of some sort that will help you survive if this happens. It's not something you have to focus on and do an 80s montage on. Just try to do one little thing at a time. Right now, it looks like something is going on, and it's massive. Mind you, at the same time this is going on, China is giving Pakistan anti-air missiles to defend against India. It's like all of these countries are lining up. Not just not just us and Russia, not just Russia and Ukraine, not just Taiwan and China. Japan is lining up. Norway is lining up. Sweden is lining up. All these countries are lining up. The UK just deployed across the UK and nobody's talking about it. One of the reasons I think this is really going to go down is because people aren't knowledgeable about it. People are not being told about it. It is not being put, just nonstop 24/7. This is something that most people are not paying attention to. And now, so little people watch the mainstream news, even if it does show up, they're just not knowledgeable about it. Have any of you talked to somebody in the last 2 weeks and they just completely did not know what was going on. Like, didn't know about China, didn't know about Russia, didn't know about, and you feel like a weirdo telling them like, hey, I think we're about to go to conflict. They're like, I think I would have heard about it. No, I think I would have heard about it if we were, about to go to war. No, you wouldn't. They would keep you in the dark until last second because they don't want people panicking. If it doesn't happen, I really hope it never happens. At this point, I think that it would just be a miracle if USA stayed out of it. The UK stayed out of it. And if they took their perspective to countries, now I don't think that that's the best option because then you just lost two democracies. The USA is put down a notch and people will think, this country's, what is the USA? USA won't be number one. If they're able to both take those countries, what would people think of the USA? Who knows? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Again, this was the biggest missile they've launched. So just keep your eyes peeled. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't panic. The last thing you want to do is panic about any of this, right? You want to be you just don't want to be surprised. You don't want to be surprised if anything happens. And if the power goes out, make sure you try to find out if it's your whole city. I hope everybody understands that. Like, just make sure if your whole city goes out and you have no communications whatsoever, that's where you really want to take it seriously. All right, the rise in CV cases slows manufacturing in China to weakest in 2 years. They're blatantly telling us that virtually nothing is coming out of China. Is that because of this, or is that because of something else? Dex, what do you think?
Well, here's the other thing. The Chinese New Year starts right now. So that's also like a 2+ week period of no production. Like, nobody works. They take that time off. It's very serious there. I mean, like, when you're buying product or building product over there, to get your orders in before Chinese New Year and order through Chinese New Year so that you don't get hit by it. So we've got like a double hit here in the sense that there'll be no production for that, but the production overall is down. Now, you may not worry about it because you're like, oh, I only buy American. But at the end of the day, there's so much stuff that you cannot get that comes from that country. I mean, look at, whether it's pharmaceuticals or other electronic components that make up the other components that you use or the other things that you buy or the products you need that come from that. It can be plastic bottles. I mean, I've got a friend of mine that's got a company that does chemical business, but they can't even make the bottles here anymore. So they have to ship their chemicals to China to put them in a bottle and ship them back because you can't get the plastic. So there's a lot of things that may be hampered by this. And it just adds to the problem that we've been having for the last year and a half.
Well, and Dex, you remember an article we covered about a month ago? This is a big deal. So let me wait until this loads because I hope we didn't lose. It says that we have one watching. And that's probably just not uploaded here.
No, there's 4,400.
Okay, so
and YouTube keeps dropping to 1 and going back to 4,400. It's a screw up on their part.
Okay, either way, so we covered this about a month ago. They warned us, and I said, when I saw this, I said, watch, this is putting it in the back of your head. It says, prepare for the mother of all supply chain stumbles if this sweeps across Asia and raises the risk. Look at this. This was put out, and this was put out across the board, and everyone said, prepare for the mother of all supply chain issues and stumbles if this thing swept across Asia. We are now on the 31st, 20 days later, and they are telling us it's swept across Asia. So what do you think is going to happen? Now they are telling us exactly what they said. This is the reason why I pay attention to the mainstream, because the mainstream, through all of the different outlets, they all come from like this pinnacle, right? From a pyramid, and they all go up to very few people, and then everything trickles down. So you have to look at really both sides and alternative, and you have to look at everything. At the bottom, there's like a cone, and then you have to put all of that together to try to find out what the real truth is. And then people have their opinions, and it sways both ways. You have a pendulum, and both are way over here. You have to pick out everything you can that you can verify and put in the middle, but also you have to look, what are they telling you subconsciously? What are they preparing you for? Because there is actual thought put in this really hardcore I mean, we're talking about, just look up Operation Bird Mocking. Okay, this is they tell you what is going to happen through these things, and when you start to see the pattern, any viewer here that sees the pattern, they send me messages before I even put out a video. I'm like, you get it exactly. You can see the pattern. Once you see the pattern, you go, this is going to happen. You don't have to have a crystal ball. And for the people that go, oh, mainstream, I never watch mainstream. Mainstream is where these elites are communicating. And if you don't decipher their code, then you're not going to know what's going to happen. If you're only listening to the guy on the internet that's like, aliens are coming right now and you better buckle up. Now, no offense. Jacob Israel says buckle up. I'm not talking about him. By the way, great channel. Go check him out. But I didn't mean to use the word buckle up. But anyways, if you are just listening to alternative, you need to balance it out. Or if you don't want to, you can watch our show. That's what we do. We put together all these patterns, and we've called it so many times, and we're not special. It's not like we don't have a crystal ball. We're just looking at the patterns, and we've done it so much that we're getting good at it. And you guys are too. That's what I'm saying. The Foogle fam, everybody's here is on the same page. So if you're not on that same page and you think this is fear-mongering or whatever else, just give it time. I promise you, give it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you'll start seeing 2 weeks ago, we're like a week or 2 weeks ahead, if not months. Just watch. This is all, something is happening right now. Again, so this is the snapshot, right? Rise in this slows manufacturing in China to weakest in 2 years. Mind you, a little other known fact. Since the beginning of this, they have cut down from 100% of worldwide flights to 2%. 98% of their air travel stopped and has not continued. Did many of you know that? China has not been doing any international flights. They only have 2% of their planes flying. That means all their commercial airports across their giant country, 1.4 billion population, think about how much they had up in the air, and there's only 2% of those flights going. And on top of that, they just basically went around the country and tried to destroy or confiscate any of the flight radar's actual equipment that helps Flight Radar 24 monitor their air travel. So they don't want you knowing what's in the sky. They have virtually nothing for regular people to get on. There's like no flights to China, no flights out of China. And if there is, it's a specialty thing and it's very little. It's less than 2%. So something massive is happening, and if you know, you know. It may not be related to what you think it's related to, or at least what they're saying. That's my belief. What is yours? Alex Rumsey, thank you for subscribing. Ariel the Wrestling Mermaid. I don't think for $1 they let you write something, which is really stupid. So I'll just fill in the blanks. Ariel the Wrestling Mermaid wants Mike to know that Mike is the most amazing man in the world. From Ariel the Wrestling Mermaid, the woman who loves him very much. Craig Alicious, I remember AJ talking about the heel prick tests they do on new babies. Everybody is already on file. I could believe that. I don't know if that's a fact, though. I did not know about that, so I'll have to look at that. Chanel Bevel Aqua, thank you so much, says, God is in control. Trust him. Grab your popcorn and bang, bang. It's about to get to the fun part. Seriously, I would like to hear more on coastline flooding. Then tune in. Do not miss this channel then. Andrew Brown, thank you so much for your support. Bible Talk for Common People. Hi, Marf, Dex, Mods, and Fam. Ezreal Yashora says they already have it under martial law. They can enact their executive orders to take over communications. Absolutely. They can take your car. They can take your home if they want to. I don't know if they can take your wife, but they're pretty damn close. When it's to that point, I would hide everything. But anyways, yeah, they can use that to basically take anything. Property, land, water, resources, oil, food, whatever you have, they can take it. So
I'm hiding my wife tomorrow.
Well, not that early. Hopefully
I was kidding.
Hopefully there's like one person out there that's like, what? It's going to happen tomorrow. No, we don't know the date. Only God knows.
Just my wife. Not everything else I'm keeping, but I'm going to go hide her.
Well, I would ask her first. It's the 21st century.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
She might hide me.
Yeah, she might put you in well, I was thinking of the cartoons with Bugs Bunny where he's like, hide me. Puts him under a rock and then puts him in a stove. I guess we'll call it a stove because if you put it in, yeah. You guys get it. Alex Golden, thank you for the support. Alex Rumsey, thank you. And Chanel, thank you again. Thank you so much. And then we have U.S. sends Osprey to South China Sea on the crashed F-35C jet salvage mission. That's at least what the Chinese think tank says on Twitter. We followed this from when it crashed off of this carrier, which a lot of people don't know, but there's carrier groups out in force in the South China Sea, and they were doing something, and one of their F-35C, one of their most advanced jets, somehow did not land, injured 10 people, and ended up in the water. So now they are going to this salvage mission, and China is basically saying they sent this U.S. Osprey. It says the U.S. has sent at least 4 military aircraft to recover the top secret components that it crashed on the with the F-35C fighter jet in the South China Sea, a Beijing-based think tank said. It says, quote, salvage work for the crashed F-35C seems to be beginning. The SCS probing initiative tweeted on Saturday, citing satellite images. This comes after the U.S. Navy revealed last Monday that an F-35C Lightning II, its most advanced stealth fighter jet, had fallen into the sea after a landing mishap on the USS Carl Vinson. Again, that was an aircraft carrier out in the South China Sea, and somehow it injured 10. We don't know if one of the cables snapped that usually catches them. We don't know what happened. If the pilot just missed, if the system malfunctioned, if that plane got hacked somehow. I'm sure they are, this is one of the most advanced jets out there. Who knows? Maybe it could have been hacked. Maybe they can remotely control it from base or something if the pilot gets, taken out. I actually wouldn't think that would be too much of a stretch. Say if a bullet went through the cabin or something and the pilot's done, they could bring it down with the guy inside. Who knows? But if that's the case, then they might be able to hack that and take it or something. I don't know. You'd think they wouldn't, but if they have a strong enough, password or something, I don't know. It says at least 4 U.S. Air Force CV-22 Osprey tilt rotor aircraft believed to have been deployed from American bases in Japan and the Philippines were spotted heading to the area where the carrier exercise had taken place. So we followed this from here to now, supposedly the salvage of it. Dex, do you have anything to add on that?
Nothing other than it's obviously a big race. They got to get there before someone else gets it and drags it out. So I assume they're floating in the water, protecting that space, not allowing China in there at all.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Now, Dex, can you? So this is some of the under the pretense of drills. I actually have to load. I have to load one of the stories I accidentally closed. So you want to talk about the U.S. military drills with Pacific allies send a message to China. Again, this is they are under the pretense of drills for all of this. Meanwhile, the entire planet has moved their military.
Yeah, absolutely. So military exercises between the United States and its allies in the Western Pacific, both ongoing and the ones specifically that are upcoming, are, I guess they're saying it's designed to send a message, so to speak, to China, not to, to do anything. But, this is what we see always is we see the drills. And while we drill our military so that they're, capable of doing and performing when it's not a drill, a lot of times we're doing this stuff to position our troops, position our equipment, or to just show a sign of force in a specific area. So what we have seen is a significant number of these drills, and apparently there's a lot more coming in the next few weeks, especially that are designed, I guess, to, I don't want to say provoke, but to at least show a sign of strength in against China. in the Pacific and in the South China Sea. So we're going to continue to see a lot more of these, and we'll be reporting on them every time we get them, or we get word of them. But this is it's a common practice, but it seems to be much more of a heightened issue right now, given the state of affairs between us and China, just like it is when we say we're drilling in the Mediterranean, given the state that we're in with some potentially supporting Ukraine against Russia, right? So, it puts us really right there on the edge of being able to go from a drill to full-on conflict in a mere, seconds, or a mishap or an intention, right?
And mind you, we virtually have every NATO ally sending troops to the Mediterranean, sending them out. Almost every country has now done a major announcement. Every country that is not involved in NATO, that is surrounding Russia, Ukraine, and Central Asia, has said that they are now at their borders, ready for a conflict. The entire planet is preparing. Mind you, somebody said something about the Freedom Convoy the other night, and they said, well, why aren't they covering this? We actually covered it in depth on the show when it started. Again, we want to make sure that we are keeping up to date. Somebody says, why isn't he covering this? Somebody who hasn't watched the entire week may not see that we are covering that stuff. We cover it, and we go on to the next. As far as that thing going on, 50,000
we've
strong.
covered that multiple times.
Yes,
and we're covering it again
night.
Tonight.
Yep, almost every night. So, but again, somebody said that on a short Marfoogle News video. Understand that those Marfoogle News videos are a very specific subject. So if we did cover it, we would only cover that. It's very encouraging, and it's everything. They said this is what everyone is talking about. This is the top story, not all this other stuff. Just mind you that is awesome. I wish it would have happened a year earlier. But again, I don't think people realize. Now, a bunch of misinformation, probably from the million-strong Chinese propaganda artists that are under the payroll. China has 1 million under its payroll, are talking about how, this is all to get us into a scare thing and this and that. There are real movements happening all over the planet. And here's why I get kind of nervous about it, is they are not putting it on the front page, and they're quietly moving all over the place. So if it is propaganda and this is all to scare us, they're not doing a good enough job. In fact, if they just told us most of the things that we know already and verified facts, people would be scared less. Because right now, they are moving every piece of military equipment, and by they, I mean the world. Right now, we are right at the edge of our seat. And, 2 years ago, he said, we're right at the edge of conflict. You could say that because there was words, there was fighting words, and there was always this kind of cold kind of conflict thing going on. But right now, we actually have the makings to have it go hot. It's not just like, we sent a warning thing over the bow. Now we have our entire militaries deployed. We pulled out of Afghanistan. Every troop is now somewhere else. Even I talked to my buddy Lloyd. He goes, yeah, I thought it was really weird how fast they pulled out of Afghanistan. Like maybe they needed them somewhere else. Like something else was what the ball was rolling on, something else. But who knows? Everybody is so confused because there's so many people that are absolutely 100% confident this is what's going on. I don't claim to know exactly what is going on, but I am looking to the best of my knowledge and looking at the patterns, what our military group says, and we have a ton of military. All of our military group, with an exception of one person that I know of that basically is retired, all of our active, all of our retired military are saying that they believe it is in the next 2 weeks. So I go off of, I trust these people, or at least I trust the group of them. Why are all of these people saying the same thing? And they're, of course, talking about Russia taking Ukraine. They have heard rumors of conflict, right? This is biblical. This is one of the largest, the largest drill in history was just like a few months ago Now it's the whole military. This is bigger than, I think, the biggest. It was like 18 different time zones last year. Now I think that this may be it, but who knows? This is why if nothing happens, I'll be absolutely happy. But if my power goes out, I will tell you this. I am not going to stick around. Bible Talk for Common People, thank you so much. I think they had the technology to fly aircraft by remote as far back as 2001. Cough, cough. Oh, no. I mean, I'm saying on these stealth jets, they might not have wanted to do that because somebody could hack it, or somebody could get the frequency and take their most advanced jet back to their, airport. Lisa Mack, thank you for subscribing. Sorry. Regina J, thank you for subscribing. Mark Nothing, thank you for subscribing. And Alex Ramsey, thank you. And then let's see here. Just wanted to pop in. All right. All right, before we go to our next one, this is probably a good time. If you have not already, make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/energy. This is one of the coolest things here. Now, I've actually got it lower because I'm getting something new to put it on. I have an energy solar generator, and this thing is modular. It's amazing. Again, this is one of the coolest systems I've ever seen. It is one of the most sought-after generators out there, and right now, again, this is the time to get something like this. If you do not know about these, I would highly recommend going to the website. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy, energy with an I, and check this out. It's completely modular. It's portable. It's quick charging. You can add as many batteries as you like. Again, this thing is absolutely amazing. This is something that, again, solar generators do not make noise. This is set up so you can plug in multiple things. You can mod it. They have all sorts of accessories like low voltage appliances and different things. They have lights. They have all sorts of different things that you can actually plug into this. This is one of the coolest things I've seen because not only can you go to their website and get a solar panel for this thing, if you just want to get their base unit and one of their batteries, you can start off with that. If you later down the road want to add another battery and more time, you can. If you want to add a middle kit that makes it charge faster, if you want to add 4 panels or 8 panels or 10 panels, there are ways to do all of that. But on top of that, they make it so you can actually get your own solar panels. Or if you already have solar panels, if you have the proper cords and adapters, you may be able to actually use it with this. So again, if you haven't checked these out, again, they don't make any sound. That is the best part. Not only can you charge it from the wall, from solar, again, you can charge multiple ways, but you can even mod it to where it is going to be charging super, super fast. Again, this thing is absolutely amazing, and it blows my mind. So again, make sure to go check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy. Your neighbors and the people around you won't know you have a generator. When the power went out here, I told you guys, I could hear every single person in the neighborhood that had a generator. On top of nobody else had power, and it was snowy out, so it was really obvious. The people that did have power obviously had lights. But there were some houses that I couldn't see. Everything was closed, but you could hear their generator going in their backyard. If anything hits the fan, that would be the first place that thieves would go, if they hear a big old motor in your backyard. Because people are going to be desperate, people are going to be pissed off, and people are again going to be looking for any way to survive. So again, these things are absolutely amazing. Go check them out, marfooglenews.com/INERGY. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Again, this is a complete awesome system. Make sure to go check it out. All right, and then Dex. Let's talk about the Irish group. So this Irish group we covered back when this happened.
So Russia was just recently was going out to do drills off of the coast of Ireland, and apparently all of these fishermen were up in arms and went out there and said, like, you can't do this because you're going to ruin our fishing area. And to everyone's surprise, I guess they pulled out. They said, okay, we'll move somewhere else. But yeah, this was it's kind of a shock that they were able to pull this off, because you figured, big bad Russia, as they're labeled in the media, is going to do what it wants to do. And no, in this case, they said, okay, well, we'll move on. We're not going to destroy your territory.
Well, I want to point out, too, this is TASS.com. I want to point out what their angle was on this. Now, their angle to this and how they did their titles, this is TASS.com, so it's one of the Russian backed websites, right? So the way that they put it in their title was Russia's going to leave the Irish diplomatic, or the what is that zone, the diplomatic zone or something. It basically made it look like they were choosing to do it and they weren't being pushed out. Well, the other side says this. It says that essentially a group of Irish fishermen forced them to turn around. They got up in arms. It says a fishing community on the southern tip of Ireland breathed a sigh of relief this weekend after the Russian government gave in to appeals from local fishermen who said Navy drills ordered by Moscow off the Irish coast could endanger their livelihoods. It says, quote, "I'm shocked, really," Patrick Murphy, head of the Castle Winburn-based Irish South and West Fisher Producers Organization, told CNN Saturday, shortly after the news of Russia's change of plan broke. It says, "I didn't think that little old us would have an impact on international diplomacy." Amid the ongoing crisis with the border with Ukraine, tensions between Russia and the West continue to simmer. Moscow's armed forces had planned to run exercises about 150 miles off of the Irish coast, in Ireland's exclusive economic zone. That's what the word I was looking for. A part of the Atlantic, Irish fishermen say that it is critical to their livelihoods. So I can kind of understand this. They don't have the hugest problem with Ireland, but Ireland as well is basically really taken back by this. I don't know if we have how many Irish viewers we have here, or if we get a lot of the traffic from Ireland. But if you're in Ireland, let me know what is going on with this, and what did your news outlets say about this? And was this perturbing that you had, of course, Russia 150 miles off your coast before they turned around? And they were in their economic zone. So they were like going to do this. I could see them going, okay, well, we don't have beef with you, so we'll do it over here. But that is pretty scary as far as this was a huge, huge drill. And then we have Ukrainian reservists gear up in case of conflict with Russia. What is weird is we have so many different angles of the Ukrainian situation. Ukraine, some say that the U.S. is making this look like it's worse than it is. But you have citizens in Ukraine who also say that this is worse than they say it is, and that they're trying to hide it until last second so people don't panic. Again, I see both being a realistic option. It says,
and you probably have both sides in there, even in their government, right? That are either pro one side or pro another side, right? And we know at the community level that Russians and Ukrainians pretty much love one another because they're family members, they're neighbors, they cross borders all the time. They've always done that. Ukrainians love Russians and Russians love Ukrainians. So the conflict really comes down to more of the political side, right? Which is where all this is building up, as the people that are in charge, not necessarily the community and the citizens that are there.
Yeah, this is a very strange. I mean, that's why some people's opinions is like, let them handle it themselves. Stay out of this. But again, that's where people forget the USA and our allies want to get into Ukraine. We want to have our officials there. I mean, we've done it with plenty of different places, and most of the time successful. This time, Russia is drawing a red line. They said that. They said, you can't do this. It would be like Russia saying, hey, we're going to take over, we're going to set up shop in Mexico. They already partially, they tried it with Cuba. Some say that they already have some gear in Cuba, satellites and surveillance gear. Cuba's in our backyard too. But it's like, would we want Russia in our backyard? Probably not. They don't want us in theirs. So there are two sides to every story. You have to look at it. Right now, hopefully the world will see that, hey, everybody's military is out right now, ready for World War III. And it's not like they're just talking about it. We are deploying all over the world. UK, it just said that they were deploying all over Europe. Across Europe, there's military. That would be like, Again, that would be like if we had just military deploy all over our country in strategic places. I mean, this is, and who knows? We probably already are. And then we have President B with Russia building up forces. We are ready no matter what happens. U.S. President JB said on Monday the United States is ready for any scenario given Russia's continuing buildup of troops along the Ukraine border. President B said he had productive talks with last week with Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky and is continuing to engage in diplomacy aimed at ratcheting down tensions. It says, quote, we continue to engage in nonstop diplomacy and to de-escalate tensions. Meanwhile, they've said that they have not succumbed to any of Russia's wishes. So they also say that basically they're not giving in. They said all of the talks have now fallen apart, and even the talks about the talks have now fallen apart.
They had another round today at the UN Security Council, and it just ended again in a sort of a stalemate.
Yeah,
it didn't go anywhere.
So even today's meeting, which we talked about, went poorly. That is now 5 or 6 meetings in, and nothing has gotten done. And now, fast forward a week, we have the UK deploying all over Europe. You have US saying out loud, we are deploying, and we're going to be deploying at least 8,500 troops, possibly up to 50,000, and whatever it takes. I mean, they're saying that. It says we are ready for what we are ready no matter what happens. So I don't know if them are fighting words because Russia knows that the USA knows what they're doing, or maybe they're working in cahoots. Maybe they just want to reduce the number of people. Who knows? I don't know. Bible Talk for Common People. Again, thank you, Lisa Mack. Thank you for subscribing. Over on DLive, thank you, Global Impact. Amanda Rachel, stay safe all. Walk in love, but carry big stick. I love that. That's awesome. Amanda Rachel, thanks, Adam Families, Mods, and Foogle Fam. Shout out to the mods. Put a mods in the chat right now if you love your mods. Lead dispenser. Any rich people want to donate a solar panel to me. So you don't have to be rich for solar panels. That's the cool part. I was actually surprised when I went to get mine at $100 on Amazon. Cool thing with the energy, you can either get one like 325 watt, I believe, panel, or you can get 4 100 watt panels that can charge it almost just as fast as the quick charger. So I thought that was pretty cool. Faster by like 45 minutes or something. I don't know the exact time, so don't quote me. But the quick charger can charge it in about 3.5 hours, and that will power a ton of stuff it depends on what you plug in, but I mean, you could get a couple days out of it. Truth Wins, Greifel, Leslie 817, Skyhouse, Earthwoman, Angela 1609. Thank you, Kishara. Add window shutters, heat, defense, and lights. That's right. And then Kishara, thank you, T-Man. Let's go, Brandon. Kishara, URI Geller, CII Psychic, posted Invasion 2023. So I just saw that. I don't think we put it in here. A TV Psychic said that. Did we put it?
No, we didn't. We'll probably talk about it tomorrow. It's
okay.
Way too much for today.
Yeah. TV Psychic said that aliens would invade. He has some sort of history with calling things, but he believes that a star that we found out in the midst of space that's blinking and sending a message 3 times an hour, that is something, and it's 4,000 light years away, which is close in our galactic backyard. And they say that he thinks it's an alien invasion on its way. Pretty freaky stuff. So yeah, we could cover stuff like that and go like that. But again, we are pretty hyper focused on this. Like, this is getting real. At least I think so. So nobody has to follow me. People have to physically subscribe to see my stuff and go out of their way to see me. So if you don't think we're about to go to war and you totally disagree with me, that is totally up to you. But I am going to choose to get ready, and that's my choice. I would hope if you are preparing for SAT test that I would leave you be to do it. I'm not going to bother you and say, that's stupid for you to study. It's my choice. U.S. seeking to mislead international community about real situation around Ukraine. Russian envoy. Dex, you want to cover this real quick, and then I'm going to load up the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is coming from directly out of TASS. Again, that's one of the Russian sites. So their point of view is that everything that we're saying, everything that's coming out of U.S. media or the U.S. administration or NATO's public relations or any of that information is all just, made up to create, a panic that doesn't really exist. So, of course, that's what they're going to say. I'm not picking sides on either one of these, but I'm just saying that's what they're saying. So they're coming out and they're saying, the U.S. is trying to mislead the world about all of the things, the tradition, like what's going on with the entire Ukraine thing. And, I think one of the big ones they talked about originally, and we spoke about this one show ago, was the blood, right? Having the blood show up at the border where they needed it for the soldiers should they get into conflict, which you wouldn't necessarily have if you're just doing drills. So all of those types of stories from the other side of the fence, they're sort of saying, yeah, it's, Ganda, right? They're just making it up and they're hyping it up. But, so it kind of leads you in a position to, question everyone, right? You should look around. You should try to get as much information you can from all sides. And that's what we do. We try to bring you all sides of this potential conflict. And then, we have to make our decision on what we think is going to happen next, right? And you sit back and you watch, but you be prepared and you don't be scared, right?
Exactly. I'm not going to be surprised if anything happens. Like I said, lights turn off and I know it's citywide, I'm going to go. Most people are going to sit around for a couple hours waiting for it to come back on. I know that that's the thing. Like if your entire city goes out, you can see no lights downtown or honestly, if you guys have, I don't know if you know what? I just thought of something. I'm probably going to keep my drone in a Faraday bag. Because if you have a small drone, even a cheaper drone, put it up in the air and see if there's power anywhere else. If it's nighttime, I bet if it happened, it would happen at night. I would, after whatever's done, the EMPs are done, I'd put my drone up and I'd see if there was lights. From where I'm at, I would look at the cities nearby, and I would see if the skyscrapers have power.
The cell phone is the dead giveaway. The first thing you should check, right? Because all those towers run on backup generators. So if there is a power outage, like when I've had a power outage here from weather, cell phones still work, and you're just at the mercy of your battery until it dies, right? So if you wake up and the power's not on, and you don't have cell service, you definitely start to question like what's going on.
Well, I think you'll feel it when we completely lose power. Our human bodies, we can feel power. Our brain, every action our brain does is an electrical signal. Our heartbeat is electrical. Our nerves, everything we do is electrical. So when we have I don't know if you've ever been in a house when all of the electricity just goes, you can feel it. I think you'll feel it when I don't know. I've never been in a whole city or a whole country where the power's gone off, but I bet you could probably feel it. I think most people's gut is going to kick in and they're going to go, okay, we need to get something going. Again, that's just my thoughts on it. Russia sends Raptor combat boats to the Sea of Azov. Russia starts redeploying combat boats to the Sea of Azov, and it says Russia started taking measures to redeploy Raptor combat speedboats on the Don Highway. According to eyewitnesses who could observe the transportation of speedboats by land on special tractors, it goes about at least four speedboats. It is believed that the boats are being transported towards the Sea of Azov. Number of videos recently appeared on the net showing the transportation of military speedboats. One of the boats is painted white. This indicates that the white boat's supposed to be used as a ceremonial vessel, while all the other combat boats are painted in camouflage colors. So far, it's not possible to establish the purpose for which Raptor combat high-speed boats are redeployed to the Sea of Azov. The white boat shows the 002 side number. This indicates that the boat was commissioned back in 2015 and is currently officially in service with the Baltic Fleet. However, this is the speedboat with the same name, side number, in service with Caspian Flotilla. So, Dex, what would they use these for? Do you know?
Well, yeah, I'm not 100% certain what they'll use them for, but I just want to make sure everybody knows that this sea we're talking about is right above the Black Sea, and this is the one that borders one section of the Ukraine, just south of Donetsk and other areas. So this is in the hot zone, so to speak, of conflict, and they've been trying to come in across all of the borders, and in this particular portion of the border is water. So on the north, where they've been talking about where Kiev is, that's Belarus, where they've been training in or shipping in with trains all the equipment and all the people. So this particular region where these boats are being deployed is in that small sea that's right above the Black Sea.
So it sounds like, people think of this when they read that there's 3 different locations where they might invade. There's actually more than that. And now it looks like these speedboats are being unloaded to possibly invade another part. They would roll in with these things, I think, would roll in. They're super fast. They can roll right up on the beach. They've got, seats with bang, 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 bangs. And then, of course, they'll roll up and then they'll deploy. These are really, they're speedboats, but they're not like your average little speedboat. These are long, big, fast, Hulk Hogan type speedboats. So these things, I'm sure, I don't know how many troops they carry. That would be an interesting thing to find. But yeah, these things are fast. They're armored. It's pretty crazy. And if they want to take that part of that border, then they would need those to cross. All right, and then real quick, I do want to remind you, if you do want to protect your car or your house or your generator, again, if you have a normal generator, you would need some sort of protection in the case of an EMP, so it still works after multiple EMPs hit. This EMP Shield company has not only worked with agencies like DOD, DHS, but they are also now on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. This can protect generators, houses, whatever device that you want to protect, you can get an EMP shield for, and it will protect against all 3 phases of an EMP. Not only that, it can also protect against a Carrington level event plus a solar flare, the natural kind, which again, that is guaranteed to happen. It's just a matter of if we will be prepared by the time it does. Again, there's a Carrington level event roughly every 150 years. It's been 160. So in some books, we are overdue. If you don't want to have your car magically stop, then I would go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, that's 100% American made, a veteran-owned business, and you will get $50 off per device and help our channel at the same time. That's, again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. There's no better time than yesterday to get something like this, so make sure to go check it out. All right, and then we have U.S. and U.K. ready to punish Putin associates if Russia invades Ukraine. You can go deeper into this on the website, marfooglenews.com, but essentially what this says is they are looking at punishing Putin's rich friends if they invade, or his elite friends. They are looking at how they could just financially screw these guys up if they own stuff outside of Russia, this and that. It's just more deterrent, saying like, you do this, all your friends are going to hate you type of thing. Again, it says the United States and its allies have prepared a list of Russian elites in or near President Vladimir Putin's inner circle to punish with sanctions if Russia sends troops in. Basically thinking that all of them are now going to be like, hey, please don't do this. You're going to ruin our lives. Britain urged Putin to step back from the brink after the Russian buildup of troops near Ukraine stoked fears of war. Well, no duh. And then we have Russia to arm herself to the teeth with the most advanced arms systems in 2022. And Russia's ground, airborne forces, and coastal troops will receive over 1,000 pieces of equipment. According to Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, the military would receive launchers with intercontinental ballistic missiles, strategic missile carriers, new air defense systems, and a nuclear submarine cruiser. The aerospace forces will receive as many as 257 new military aircraft. Some models of the military equipment and weapons will be delivered to the troops for the first time in 2022, while some others will come closer to the stage when they can be put into service. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the successful salvo launch of Zircon missiles. This test launch marked a milestone in many years of development and test works. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu spoke about the serial supplies of the new missile in 2022. As part of the test, the missile was launched from the Severodvinsk submarine and then from the Admiral Gorshkov frigate. So this goes over the different kinds of systems. Again, as RS-28 Sarmat strategic missile system, I want to say the Sarmat is one of the most powerful and scary missiles, right? Dex, is that correct?
Yeah, it is. I think it's one of the hypersonics. But the thing is, this is like, I don't know how this compares to their typical spending. It's not like there's a budget here, but it's clear that they have been spending significant amounts of money. I mean, some of the things we haven't even talked about recently, we know they're investing heavily in, is the Arctic bases they're building. Like, they're putting money in the military like it's no tomorrow. So they have been growing and growing and growing. And we used to think, oh, they're just a bunch of, rusty bolts and a ship with a bucket of bolts floating around, right? But that's not the case. They have really spent a lot of time improving their equipment and obviously spending a lot of their money on it. So, and that doesn't seem to be stopping.
And by the way, this goes over all of the advanced stuff. Once you look at this list, you'll go, holy crap, this is the same stuff that we have. We went over, experts and even our own White House has gone over, and their panels have said Russia is incredibly advanced. It is not the same Russia that you remember. It's not that broken down boat that they strap some duct tape onto. This is not the same Russia. This is one of the most advanced fleets that you've ever seen. I mean, we're talking, experts are saying they're on par with the U.S., and where the U.S. is insanely advanced. So that's not good, considering China they've been saying the same. In fact, experts have quit and resigned from the Pentagon, stating that China has beat us in AI and in some tech. That's scary. How we let that happen, I don't know. Obama. Cord cutting Russian style. Could the Kremlin sever global internet cables? This is something that most people have warned you by now. If you're watching this show, you are most likely in this kind of field and you know about what this is. There are underwater cables connecting us in Europe, France, and the UK, Norway and here. There's all sorts of underwater cables that make the world go round. And there are specific, very specialized boats, submarines, and vessels that can go down and cut them up. And if that happens, we will know it because they will do it last second. It says I'm sorry, Adam.
We reported this about at the beginning of January, but I want to bring this quote back up because it's important to think about. Sir Tony Radkin, who was, I should rephrase that, Admiral Sir Tony Radkin from the UK, said that if those cables are cut, just doing that would be considered an act of conflict, right? And that's a big statement to say that, because that means it's game on. So, when we're thinking about this type of tech and what they're doing, that's something sneaky they could just go down and do. And as soon as it's done, according to the UK, it's game over.
We're at war. The second one of those gets cut, we're at war. And they've made that not even pretty clear. They've made it absolutely clear at the UN meetings. I've heard some of the quotes of the Armed Senate Committee or services. They said if this happens, it's on. It's on like Donkey Kong. And supposedly they are out in force, these specialized boats that have these specialized submarines. So and then this is to top. We have seen the cord, the power cable from France to the UK be cut. They lost 40% of their power because of that. We saw off of the coast of Norway, this underwater cable sub-detection system got not only cut and destroyed and dragged by something. And then, of course, kind of the same thing as what they're doing in space. They thought, hey, we can do it in underwater. We could do it in space. Submarine that has scissors or a clamp and can just snip it. Same thing in space. Both China and Russia have now tested in the last month or month and a half. Both of them had tested, and Russia just a few days ago, a satellite that would go and clamp onto another satellite and crush it. Because satellites are light, they're aluminum. They basically try to make them as light as possible. They're not super sturdy. I mean, they're made well, but again, a clamp with so much pressure just crushed it. They're both testing ways to take down satellites. And some say that they've already have it. They were just physically testing what they already had up. So if they were to take out our communications, they would take out our power, they would take out our underwater cables, and they would take out our satellites. They're practicing all three. And then we have Coward 19. It says that the Canadian Prez tests positive for the while hiding out from the truckers. So here's opinion, okay? That it just so happens, while the 50,000 are rolling into Ottawa, the Prime Minister apparently test positive. So quarantine time or bunker time. I don't know which. What do you guys think? Again, thank you everybody for watching it just like we watch it on the show. Thank you for watching it down in the comments. You can communicate and be creative. Thank you so much, because you guys, you're part of the show too. If you want the show to keep going, make sure to. So keep that in mind. But this is absolutely perfect timing. It's almost like when T-Man, when he got it and he was mysteriously gone and they didn't know where he was. If you go back to Izzy on a boat, that video, that time period, it was very weird. People thought that it was a stunt double, a T-Man stunt double. He had this from the mouth up, because another thing, all presidents have lookalikes. Almost every big country has a full-time lookalike. So that lookalike will actually sit there, or if it's a dangerous situation, they'll be in the car and they'll wave. The Queen has a lookalike. In fact, they go to a really good lengths to make sure that they have everything. If there's a birthmark, they'll tattoo it on or temporarily paint it on. All sorts of stuff. They will do prosthetics to make their ears the same, their nose the same. So that's one thing. I'm like, when people say, "Oh, their nose is a little bit different," or this or that. Or that they wouldn't be able to do that because they have a funky ear. They can do anything, Miss Doubtfire style. So yeah, it's funny timing that he's bouncing out, and I don't know, if I had 50,000 truckers after me, I would probably bounce out too. But yeah, he's not too many people are happy.
I heard they got enough money they can camp there for like multiple years. That's how much money they've raised.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, think about it. They are taking time off their work to do it. But, and by the way, I think they were taking a mark from India. Dex, do you remember we covered India did the same thing? Only I think it was like, it was a less primitive transport style. Like they were with their, like the farmers did it, right?
Yeah, well, the other thing is these guys have created a movement now that is, happening in the U.S. They're starting to do something from California to the capital. Other countries throughout Europe people are starting to try to organize similar events. So it's kind of interesting to watch how this will grow, or if this will grow to be something more than it is at this point. But they have done a massive job at getting organized, and obviously the press is just not covering it. And when they do, they cover it like I was reading an AP article, and they gave like half of a sentence to the cause. In other words, they're here protesting the V, and that was it. It had like 17 paragraphs about we saw this flag, this type of flag, so that means what they're all those type of people. And it's probably like one guy, one idiot that, who knows, was probably planted running around with that flag, right? But they spend the entire article painting that picture and saying, well, this is what's wrong with the convoy. It's this type of person with this type of flag, right?
Yep. or some two people and one guy's wearing "I'm with stupid" and they're both wearing it pointing both directions, they'll take the picture of that and be like, this is the convoy. Not all of the extremely hardworking, amazing truckers that literally keep all of us alive. But mind you, when we talk about the mother of all supply chains, just remember 50,000 truckers are there, and we may have to suffer if they are to continue being there. So understand too, you might need to grab some supplies. Just saying. Make sure to have extra stuff on hand, because they're basically telling us, they're foreshadowing mother of all supply chain drops. China is dropping out. As far as your local stuff, a lot of those guys are going and driving up there to join. So just be ready for the consequences of this very awesome thing that happens, and be ready to fight it out with them. Anna McLean, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Stephen McMahon, thank you. All of you youngsters should learn to be carpenters, plumbers, electricians, as well as survival training and herbalism. Time is of the essence. I agree with you. There was quite a few things that I was surprised that were really simple things and I didn't know how to do. So I know I'm not where I need to be, especially if I'm going to be the only one who knows how to do it. My wife can do a lot of things, but I don't think she knows how to start a fire yet. We were just trying to think about all the things we need to both work on. Like, starting a fire is a pretty big thing. And for some reason I was killed, what would she do? Ms. Jammer, thank you for gifting out a badge over on DLive. Heartbroken Survival. Thank you for being here. The end is near. Vault 1-1. Chewy Weather. Thank you so much. Jenny, Texas. Hopkinson. And then Dex. I do want to remind people, if you haven't already, I would definitely make sure to go over and check out My Patriot Supply at marfooglenews.com/prep. If you don't have supplies, I'd highly recommend it. Obviously, you know why. Most people can see what is about to happen here. But either way, we chose these because they are one of the best companies. They haven't raised their prices. Their food is great. And this is long-term survival food. Right now, they still have the discount of $50 off for a month-long supply. Or you can get a 3-month supply at $150 off. Most of the companies are just out of pretty much all of their products. My Patriot Supply is big enough to where they have kept it going through almost all of this and not raise their price. On top of that, they did get rid of their discount for a minute, but they have now brought that back. So while they still have the $150 and the $50 off, make sure to go over and check it out. The prices are only going to go up over time. I don't see My Patriot Supply not raising their prices forever because there's inflation. At some point, they are going to have to raise it. So again, even long-term shelf food, it's kind of an investment that kind of appreciates if you look at it that way. In 2 years from now, I'm sure this is going to be more expensive. If we, hopefully we'll have 10 years and 20 years and 30 years. Or at least until 2030 when the world says we'll have catastrophic flooding because of the moon wobbles, but who knows? All right, Dex.
And that's 25-year shelf life. So, you could be buying that stuff and 10 years from now, you could be using it just because of inflation. You might, like, everything in storage is cheaper. I can't afford to buy anything. It's not even that the SHTF has happened. It's just that the financial crisis is killing you, right? So, yeah, it's always good to buy this stuff now, not later. So, hey, Adam, everybody should go to marfooglenews.com and click on the thumbnail for the show and scroll down to that web-only content and get the rest of the story because there's a lot going on. We talked about Spotify and Rogan. Well, he came out with a statement. So that's there. You can read more about it, or you can listen to his statement. It's directly linked there. Also, a lot of political stuff going on, a lot of things that are too far to one side and we can't just cover, but even things with like people that you thought were on one side of the political spectrum are now backing the other side of the political spectrum. So go check it out. You'll see what I mean with Graham and others. Lots of stuff to be reported on, and even some Elon Musk tweets are there about the truckers. So if you haven't seen those, check them out. Again, marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show and scroll down to web-only content. Or if you're on YouTube, it's so easy. It's always right there in the description. The first link to the show notes.
Taking a break from politics for a while. Here's a nice photo of trucks. That's pretty funny. He does have some funny tweets. I want to make a special thank you to Deborah E., Diane M. Someone has to says, watched you since the car broadcast. Wish I could donate more. Someone has to. It doesn't matter how big or little it is. We appreciate it. Again, I wanted to remind people, like on the prep, marfooglenews.com prep, people think I'm doing that for me. Pretty much that goes to Dex. So just so you know, like when I do these things, again, that's kind of how we have Dex support himself too. So I don't think people realize that. Like this is two people and two whole families. So both with multiple kids. So it's spread thin like peanut butter. But thank you guys. And again, as you guys know, like if we were really doing well, I'd probably have health insurance by now. Smackin' Art Studio, thank you so much. Peter S., thank you for your support on PayPal. Everybody that has gone over to PayPal in the last month, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Again, there's just not too many. There's not too many ways I can really say thank you. I appreciate my audience. I appreciate the people that care about others. I appreciate some of the audience. Like, obviously, we love our mods here. Jason78. By the way, people like, of course, Happy Hippie Crochet. They were making hats and giving those away to the homeless this year. We had a snafu with, well, I meant a snafu with the shipping of mine. But I will still, even if I have to just go get beanies, I will end up fulfilling what they needed me to do. They handmade hats and it got misplaced in shipping. But either way, Snafu Snaps was doing it. Many people were doing the homeless beanies for the homeless. So I really appreciate my audience and how much they care for everybody else. Thank you to Davis D., Heidi J., Kimberly S., Chris G., Ashley T., Lisa K23. Can't say thank you enough for you. I hope you're doing well, especially no matter where you are. Again, Gone Girl 777, I hope you are healthy and I hope you are happy right now. Best news in Pacific Northwest, better than King and King. Family of 8 Adventures Live, that's hilarious. And then Bible Talk for Common People. You don't have to go and do that. Thank you. Marf Dex, go to my channel and watch at least my last 2 videos. It's something nobody is talking about. I will. Patricia Rivas, thank you. Anna McLean, Lai Buchanan, thank you, everybody. Much love, you guys. I really appreciate all of you. If I did get hosted by anybody tonight, I just appreciate you. Thank you so much over on D-Live. All right. Dex, thank you for your service tonight. I really appreciate you and everything you do.
Much love, brother. Great show.
It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most. troll, and a renegade PE. Everybody see me with the global impact, and everybody know with the DIAMOND. Thank you. Global impact from me to you. Mafia for life. Everybody right. T-shirt. Oh, so Stephen McMahon, everybody be Beaver. Everybody better believe it. And I'm up clean. Everybody like a Beaver. Beaver. Let me Big thank you to Susan Donahue. I appreciate you so much. With much love and many thanks. Simply Pony, shout out to Jeremy and Caitlin from Choices, Places, People Stay, Blessed, Foogle Fam, Susie Kazarin, Red Pilled, Cameron Combs, Joe Vote, Global Chaos, followed by Savior Aliens, aka Blue Beam, and the NWA. Got the Cameron Combs, I know I'm home, Red Pilled, everybody gotta know, gotta bring it back around and out low. Simply a pawn. Everybody like that Al Capone. Everybody got that Andrew Brown. Everybody gonna leave town. Family at 8, Adventures Live. Everybody really wanna stand by my side. Everybody gonna ride down. Eli Buchanan, everybody sound. Hear that trumpet and start running now. Craig Alicious, Chanel, Bella Fuqua now. Bring it right back with the Alex on the Rumsey. Oh now, Andrew's also clumsy. More nothing, I know something. Someone has to, and I gotta ask you something that we have to do. Love each other and you do what we do. Elon Musk, bring it down, everybody bloody gonna bust. Chanel be Fuqua, 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 ticka Chanel be Fuqua, Chanel be Fuqua, Chanel be Fuqua, Chanel be Fuqua, ticka Chanel be Fuqua. List all the people that we be missing, like a Keyshawn, Jenny, Texas, and the road to prison. Hey, everybody love the vision. Oh, Lisa Warhol, everybody missing. Everybody got the archangel. Bring it right down, and what's your angle? Walk down with the lead dispenser. Everybody on the enter, enter. iPad, Mermaid, and Paul. I'm Nelson on the MES, and everybody ball. Hey, Susan Donahue. Hey, thank you, Mindset 925. What is going on? Rhiannon S, Tennessee Tactical. Hey, I think I just saw your name on the just subscribe list. Thank you. Tennessee Tactical.